first, we're talking about Prince Harry being left out of a special book marking the top 200 people to train at Sandhurst Military College. Is it unfair to leave him out? The Duke of Sussex wasn't named in the list despite seeing active service in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, his brother, Prince William, and even singer James Blunt made the cut. Was it wrong to leave him out of the list, or is this just perhaps the price that he has to pay for leaving the royal family? Give us a call, whatever your thoughts on this, 0207 862 2222, and we'll speak to you in just a moment. Daisy, I'm going to come to you first as the royal commentator on the panel. What do you make of this story? Is it a mountain over a molehill, or do you think he's going to feel quite left out?
So when I first heard about this story, I thought that is unfair. Harry had a much more notable military career than William did. Saw active service twice, so on and so forth. Then when I actually looked into what the book is, I thought actually that Harry did not deserve to be in this book. This book is only 200 people are described in detail of notable alumni, as you said, of Sandhurst, and they're people ranging from Winston Churchill to James Blunt to David Niven. So that this is thousands and thousands of people over hundreds of years who've been to Sandhurst, and they're just picking out kind of quirky, notable people who've done amazing things.
Surely Harry fits in that category quite well.
Why?
Well, he is the son of the current king. He has more medals than William. He served in Afghanistan.
But you're comparing William and Harry. You're not comparing
There'll be an awful lot
Harry.
of other people who haven't made it either who aren't boo-hooing or we're not boo-hooing about. And I don't know much about Sandhurst, but only thing that struck me was, isn't it where you go to learn how to be an officer and a gentleman? And maybe he didn't quite master part of that, because I don't think he has behaved in a gentlemanly way, and maybe they're not as proud of him as they were.
Well, they got
that's why he's not
to train. I can't say that they churn out gentlemen. I don't know many people that have graduated from Sandhurst personally. But let's now speak to lawyer Dr. Shola Moshogbamimu. Dr. Shola, what do you make of this? I know you've been quite a supporter of Harry in the past. Do you think this is a snub? Do you think Harry will care?
I think it's such a scam, to be honest with you. I'm also laughing because of the comment about the officer and gentleman. I am not aware that it turned out gentlemen, but you know what? I think the reality here is that people are naturally going to make a comparison between the fact that William, who has a less noteworthy contribution, made the list, but Harry did not. And Harry has 2 tours in Afghanistan, way more medals than William does. It sounds to me like this is just going to end up being more speculation, more unnecessary drama, which the royal family could have just nipped in the bud, quite frankly, because we all know that Harry did a whole lot more than William did. Now, one of the panelists rightly pointed out, but you're making this about Harry and William. Well, the only reason it's made the news is because it is about Harry and William and the royal family and people going on about, well, Harry has not behaved properly. His relationship with his family has absolutely jack all to do with his contributions to his country, in his military service. And when people point out, for instance, that Winston Churchill made the list, okay, let's take a look at Winston Churchill, who is famous for leading his country through World War II, and rightly so. But he's equally famous for his belief in the superiority of the white race, for being responsible for the genocide of millions of Indians in the Bengali famine. And let's not forget that he forced hundreds of thousands of Kenyans into concentration camps. But he made the list. So yeah, people are going to rightly so, they're going to make comments.
So Shola, I mean, you make a fair point there. I don't think this list is just of people who Sandhurst put up there on a pedestal. I mean, there's a few former SS officers, in there. So I think they are saying the good as well as the bad here. It's just notable individuals and celebrities that make up part of this 200.
Shola also said it was the royal family could have nipped in the bud, but it's not the royal family who have decided the list. It's Sandhurst, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I just wonder, Shola, when Harry wrote Spare, he did detail quite a lot about his time in Afghanistan, particularly how many people he killed. And the military came back on that and said that this betrayed the very people that he served with. And I wonder whether this is actually an appointed attempt to say to Harry, you may have served, but you have now betrayed us and we will ostracize you.
with all due respect, that's just more hypocrisy and double standards. And I'll just give you an example of Winston Churchill, who actually committed war crimes.
Why is it double
And Harry has
standards?
not committed war crimes. So if they want to teach Harry a lesson or send him a message, they should have done and be doing the same for every other person on that list. So again, this has nothing to do with that. The only reason this made the cut of a newsworthy, so-called newsworthy article, and people are going to talk about it, is because it's going to be looked at from the perspective of the royal family. And I'm saying the royal family could have done a whole lot more, knowing fully well that, hold up a second, there are going to be people who are going to think we had a hand in this. How can you put William's name and not put Harry's name when Harry was in active service? It just doesn't make sense.
Well,
that's the only reason we're all discussing this.
In Shola, I would have said, I don't think that the royal family have been consulted in terms of the 200 people to go in here. However, William wrote the forewords, so William would have known whether his brother was in there or not. And
But if he had been in, it would still be a talking point just from the other.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, but
it
maybe would have looked better in terms
For
of
who?
in terms of Prince William, Daisy. What
But can you imagine if William had said, yes, I will write this forward if you shoehorn my brother into the book? That would have been ridiculous.
Would it not have been seen as a bit of brotherly love? Would it not have been seen by the
Unless
public?
the conversation was the other way around, which is what some people are going to think, which is, I am not going to write this forward unless you take my brother out or that my brother is not mentioned. I don't know. I'm just saying that this is the speculation. I'm just saying this is the unnecessary speculation. Let me finish. I'm just saying this is the unnecessary speculation and conversation that will be going around, which is so totally unnecessary. I think Harry could have and should have made that cut if William made the cut. That's the point. I'm not comparing Harry to Churchill. I'm not comparing Harry to anybody else that's been alive for God knows how long and has been dead for God knows how long. The point is, if William made that cut for not even doing anything close to as noteworthy as Harry did, then Harry should have been on the cut.
Thank you. Just let Susan have a say here.
The unnecessary speculation you're talking about is the unnecessary speculation that you have just made. You're the only person making the unnecessary speculation that was the way it was, and that was what could have happened.
I speculated that perhaps Prince William should have said to put Harry in if he was doing the forwards.
Let me just address what Shola's saying about William making the cut. He didn't make the cut. He's not one of the 200. He wrote the forward. That's very different. Writing the forward and saying, I'm proud to have served in Sandhurst. He will be Commander-in-Chief one day. That's very different.
Yeah, he is the future king, which I think Harry often forgets. There is a difference between them. One's going to be the future king and one isn't, luckily for us.
Let me get a call in. Mary from Dunbar. Shola, I know you're chomping at the bit to get back in and I will let you have your say in just a moment. Mary, what's your thoughts on this? Is this a snub for Harry?
My thoughts on this are that as his father is the commander of the services, he should have shown a bit more respect to him. And I think as a person, he is showing disloyalty and has made a fool of the royal family, and therefore the military, I think he's let his military colleagues down.
Mary, I do hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but when I tell you that former SS soldiers have made the list, then how can you say that Harry doesn't make the list?
I just don't think his character is suitable to go in a book about Sandhurst.
Do you know what?
I think he got to Sandhurst in the first place because he was in the royal family.
Mary, you might have a point. The SS soldiers have just been told, I got that wrong. They were actually omitted from it. So maybe you do get omitted from it for bad behaviour, Shola.
Yes,
and again, my point about Winston Churchill. And can I just say, let me just quickly go back to the point that was made on the panel. Again, the whole reason we're having this conversation is not because of me. It's because the question for the discussion is, was Harry snubbed? See? So that's not me. I'm not the one creating the conversation. And also, the title of the Mail article speaks to that fact that it's about Harry and the royal family. And I'm saying this entire thing was just totally unnecessary. And I totally take the point that William, it wasn't about William making the cut, but because he's recognized and part of this whole recognition in writing the forward, people are automatically going to think, well, this is giving him a certain kind of recognition. If there's anybody that should have written it, I can't recall now if Charles went to Sandhurst or maybe he didn't, I don't know. But he is the current commander-in-chief. Charles could have written that forward. That's my point. They could have avoided this entire mess.
Mary, thank you very much for your call. James from Cardiff, what do you think? Do you think Harry will care?
Exactly, I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, I think he will care, Storm. But as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't deserve to be in the book. Let's be quite honest with you. He's not the brightest tool in the box. He scraped through his A-levels.
Okay,
he got into Sandhurst. He got into Sandhurst by the skin of his teeth. I've been on active service, and I've served with some right Rodneys, and Prince Harry would be one of them.
Okay, James, all of that may be true, and you have far more experience than me, but he still served.
Yeah, he served. Yeah,
and
he's a helicopter pilot. Let's not get this right. He wasn't on the ground. He's a helicopter pilot. Just because he flew a few missions doesn't mean that he's right to be the top 200 in there. And just so Dr. Shola can be quite frankly put in her place, without Winston Churchill, sweetheart, you wouldn't have the chance to actually say what you're saying on the show,
James, you had a great point until you used the word sweetheart, and then you undermined your whole argument. But Shola, have a reply. Yes, go on.
I mean, I'm sorry, but how dare you? If Winston Churchill didn't do what, I won't be able to do what? Are you okay? Do you think Winston Churchill single-handedly saved the United Kingdom? Or do you not forget that there were many people, millions of people from across the colonies in Africa and Asia that came and gave their lives and died? I'm sorry, look, there are many people I owe my life to, including you should be grateful to. So please, don't point fingers. The fact that Winston Churchill did a good job in leading the country does not in any way take away from the war crimes that he committed. And so as far as I'm concerned, you need to say what the good people do, and you need to also shine a light on the bad they do. And if you can't do that, then that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Okay, lots of messages coming in online. Mark on Twitter says something that actually a caller's echoed. Plenty of other people didn't make it to their top 200 either, such as life. Susan, you very much felt that way. Absolutely. Andy on Facebook says, Prince Harry saw action unlike William. Of course he should be in the book. Heroes are not always perfect. That's sometimes what gives them the edge. As a royal commentator, Daisy, do you think Harry is going to be bothered by this?
I don't particularly, and Charles didn't go to Sandhurst, so he couldn't have written the foreword. So it makes perfect sense for William to have written the foreword. It's only 200 people, so I think Harry's got enough on his plate. I don't think he's going to be that bothered.
All right. Well, we'll have to wrap it up there. Thank you for all your calls. Huge thank you to Dr. Shola as well for joining us for that discussion. We're going to move on.